Yeah.
So on the note of hyperactivity, another myth, kids are too unfocused. They're too active. They're too hyper.
Mhm.
Not true. It's not true. So for adults as well, we practice our different poses that help us to energize throughout the day. And those same poses also help to energize kids. So things like chair pose, the warrior sequences, those are really energizing poses because they're very engaging and they require a lot of attention. They require a lot of just engagement in your body and in your mind. So they actually activate your energy systems and keep you going throughout the day. And those same poses do that exact same thing for kids. But yoga is also practiced in a way that brings focus and relaxation. So, yeah, kids are overly active. They're supposed to be. I wish that I had that much energy. Um, but that's not a reason to not practice yoga. Yoga is meant to help kids learn to relax and bring that awareness to their minds and their bodies. When they become adults, they will need to learn how to relax. And maybe yoga is not going to be their preferred method of relaxation when they're an adult, and that's fine. Everybody has their own thing. But yoga will help them to recognize what their mind needs and what their body needs. It will help them to recognize when they're being overstimulated, when they're being overactive, and when they need to calm down, when they need to take that moment to yourself. Um, and sometimes kids are too active to do yoga. Maybe you're teaching a yoga class at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and three kids are like just like boom, 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 like bouncing off the wall. And they probably just need to expel that energy before you can get to the relaxation part. Kids have tons and tons and tons of energy, and they just need to let it all out. One thing that I like to do with my students when I practice yoga is we call it shake out the sillies. So basically, you just like shake out your body to release all of the built up energy, especially in education. Kids are sitting all day long. Their minds are busy from textbooks, and they don't get a lot of time to get rid of all that extra energy. So we shake out the sillies, and we do it in sometimes we do it in a little bit more mindful way where it's just like, oh, one finger at a time, this one, and then your hand, and then your arm, and then you build until you have your entire body shaking. And sometimes you're just jumping up and down and doing jumping jacks and just like shaking everything all at the same time. And they love it that way.
Hmm. We used to do that when I was in the classroom with my elementary kids and my middle school students. And I taught them that for tests too, because we
Yeah.
had tests that took a long time. And obviously, during a standardized test, you can't get up and jump around and shake the sillies out, but you can put your leg out and stretch it, and then put your other leg out and stretch it, and put your arm out and stuff. And that helped them be a little bit more aware of when they're taking a test that they're losing their focus and they need to do something else and take a quick break. So it wasn't, yoga per se, but it was being more mindful and being more aware and moving their body within the parameters that they had. And that helps at all ages. So, like Megan said, even if yoga doesn't end up being their thing, the practice of noticing when they need to refocus or they need to calm down or whatever it is what we're teaching them. And that is so valuable to them. That will help them forever into adulthood and everything. So it's super, super important. And we've been doing yoga with Megan's stuff for about a year now. And Sweet Pea she's 4. She has just started getting more into running. So completely different, but she's aware when she needs a break and she needs to get energy out. And she says, I need to run. And that's perfectly fine. That's her exploring different things and finding out what works for her. And that's exactly what we want kids to do, is have all these tools that they can use. And practicing yoga is just one of those things that can help them and help them explore what they need and what their bodies need.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that shaking out the sillies in education, like you said, for test taking, it's also a really great way for kids to expel the anxiety that comes with taking tests, especially those standardized tests, because those aren't fun for me to even give. I did standardized testing last week with my students, and I didn't even want to give it to them, much less actually take it. And I kept thinking back to the times when I had to do it when I was in school, and I didn't practice yoga then. I didn't know about yoga then. And I wish that I had of.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's such, there's so much anxiety and just nervousness. And you can feel it when the kids walk into the room when they know they're taking tests, and you can see it. And so I would take a few extra minutes to just let's calm down and focus before I pass this out. But even during the test, when it's 2 hours, they needed something. And that really helped a lot of them. It was really neat to be, walking around during the test and you see them like doing their stretches and they're like this and they have their arm out and stuff. It was really neat.
Oh, that warms my heart. I would love that.